finishing off lessons to be learned from Twitter, and Spotify's handling of their layoffs. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by Zocdoc, the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. Find out more at Zocdoc.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. The MacVoices panel finally wraps up their conversation about the lessons to be learned from Twitter and everything that's been going on there. It's been a very impassioned conversation from top to bottom, and I know you will enjoy the last part of it. This time, though, we also touch on the Spotify layoffs, how they've handled it, and what the messages that are being sent by their CEO say. Let's go back and let the panel do the talking.
Well, you know where I get a lot of my content is RSS. And that's essentially, own your own website and, get people to come to your website. That's what RSS is.
Right.
But, that is not in general, people don't make a lot of money off of RSS. They don't make careers off of that. I don't know, maybe John Gruber has. But
Jeff, talk about that. Talk about what you just put in our private chat, because I agree with you. I think that's a really interesting point. And now that we've started down the Google Plus discussion, I wonder if that had anything to do. One had anything to do with the other.
Yeah. The comment that I made privately was, I'm still bitter about Google screwing the RSS client market. And they bought up and took control over the RSS client market. And when they shut down, was it Google Reader?
Yes.
Then for a lot of people, they just didn't know that RSS didn't go away. And
right.
and they didn't know that there are other apps or clients that they could use to still get that same content. And that was a big, nasty blow to RSS. For those of us that are in the know, we could continue to use RSS. And
I never used Google Reader, so it didn't affect me, and I was always kind of scratching my head about that. In the long run, it seems like maybe that was the best thing that could have ever happened to RSS. Maybe, because now it's thriving, and there's various clients, and it's not all built on one thing. And the stuff that's out there is monetized, things like Feedbin, which is fantastic. And so one
I love that
thing
NetNewsWire came back to life.
NetNewsWire came back, Unread. And
I use Feedly.
Feedly, so RSS is, and I consider that my primary source of certainly industry news. And stuff like Twitter is sort of secondary.
Yeah, I didn't intend for this Twitter discussion to go quite this long, but I think we hit it from a lot of different angles. I think it's the one question I had earlier in the discussion. Well, Webb, wait a minute, you've been quiet, and I definitely want to hear from you, because you had taken a break while we were talking about the fact that the one.
Yeah, I can still hear you. I just went off camera, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So then you heard the discussion about the corporate presences, if you will.
Yeah. Let me throw out a couple of things. I am not quite ready to put down Elon Musk, the individual, as the villain. Okay. I think that Elon does surround himself with some smart people. I think there's some other business case going on here that maybe we're not seeing yet. If this was a chess game, he's thinking 3 or 4 moves ahead that we might not be seeing. I'm not trying to put him down as a hero. And the reason why, as Guy said, they just pulled off the Band-Aid in the middle of the night. That was odd. The other side of that is, so what were they going to do? Say, we're going to shut it off in 30 days? And does that get you any different public relations than it does if you just do it overnight.
No,
That gives people 30 days to complain about it.
Absolutely, I think it would. Yes.
I think from a PR standpoint, it doesn't matter.
I think it would have mattered because it would have shown that that Twitter was at least doing their due diligence, and they broke the trust with developers. And some people have pointed out that, hey, in the agreement, the licensing agreement to use the API, Twitter says that if they shut this down, they will give notice, and they did not. And to me, that's a big part of the trust being broken. And that's the part of the broken trust that I think businesses will look at, and potential advertisers or other business partners. They're going to look at this and this is going to give them pause. Some of them will be like, yeah, let's go ahead. But I think that there will be businesses that look at the way Twitter did handle this and say, yeah, this isn't a business I can work with.
Let's go
and
back
it's part of a pattern. Oh, I'm going to buy Twitter. Oh, no, I'm not.
Yeah, Webb.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I like I said, I don't understand. I'm trying to understand the business case. And I'm going to just say that he's surrounded by a lot of smart people. He didn't do this by himself. There were other people that advised him, or maybe the decision came to him, but other people said there's some business case to do this. And I don't know what it is yet. And maybe there isn't one. Jeff, you could be completely correct that this is just a bad move. There were some other words that were used in the chat. I don't want to use them here, but it was just a bad move. And I don't quite understand it. I am going to give him just a little bit of maybe there's another case here, some other business case that we're just not seeing yet. What's he trying to do with Twitter to begin with? I think just wanting to poison it.
I don't think he wanted to poison it.
But then explain all the moves that he has made, because he's irrational. Brittany, I'd like to hear your opinion. You understand people a lot better than most of us do.
So my take, and granted, I am not a professional like Brittany is on so many levels, but my take is that at the other businesses that Elon has been part of, that there has been a circle around him. And the circle, in some ways, I think has been able to work like handlers, and what I mean by that is, in cases where Elon is like, hey, let's just go do this thing. These people are like, okay, here's what we need to do to make this work if we're going to do that thing. And at Twitter, there was no infrastructure in place to have that circle around him. And let
me ask you this question. Let's say before all this drama went down, do you think that Twitter was a good business model? Because they were having trouble from.
They were not a good business model.
So it just went from bad to worse.
It went from bad to worse. Yeah. And I think instead of coming in with a magic wand to fix the problem, which Elon thought he had, it was actually gasoline. And when the fire started, then he's like, all right, well, now I've got a burning dumpster. And that's what he's working with now.
There was one statement, just to go along with what you were saying, a rotten fish stinks at the head first. That's one way to look at it.
I like that analogy.
You like that? No, okay.
I hadn't heard that before, but I like that.
Go ahead. I'll be quiet.
Well, no. But Jeff, unlike your, I'm surprised you've been kind of emotionally involved in this from the day that they shut the APIs down. And I'm with Webb. I think it was Ken Ray said it either on his show or on Daily Observations, or maybe it was Jeff Butts actually. But Elon is the head of Twitter. He has a responsibility now, not just to himself, but to other parties to try to make this profitable. So some of these moves seem almost designed, to use your word, to poison things and to alienate people. And that just does not make any sense at all, because I mean, even if you forget the other people, it's him killing his own investment. So that just doesn't track. And say what you will about Musk, but I don't think he's irrational. So
not about money.
Yeah. Brittany, I'm sorry, you've been muted. I think you were trying to talk a couple times.
No, I've been very grateful for the mute to sit here
Okay.
and hide my reactions, except from you visually.
Okay, so it's your turn. What react for us?
A person can be freaking brilliant and a visionary and impulsive and make terrible choices, and they can all be the same person. It's not like, oh, either he's a genius doing 10 things ahead or he's a toddler. And unfortunately, it's a little bit insulting to toddlers, but like, because they don't have the experience to make other choices. But like, they can both be true. And I mean, let's take one of my big things, like George Lucas made something amazing and then he made the prequels. Like, that was the same guy. I mean, there were different circumstances for both. And whether or not he will end up somehow coming out financially ahead, that may be true. But there's also ways that adults behave in the business world. And this is not that.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. What time? Let's see. We've got about 15 minutes left. So, well, since we're just going down the path of beating on people, let's just keep on going.
Oh God, what I do now?
You like it too much, Jeff. That's I'm not going to go there.
Did it get hot in here?
Mark, I'm going to let you address the Spotify issue that's in your background, because that just happened today. That's very timely. And when I read the article you shared with us about the head of Spotify's comments, it's just like, really? I mean, how tone deaf can you be?
Okay, yeah. So a little bit of background for listeners. Over the weekend, I was reading through my RSS feeds. I saw an article about Spotify, and they were trying to urge the EU Trade Commission to go after Apple and complaining how horrible it is and blah 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 blah. And I listened to this and I figured, okay, well, it's been a while, a couple of years since I last took a look at Spotify's financials. Back in 2018 or 2019, they did a direct listing, which is one of the variants of ways to go public. And then their stock did nothing and then went up really high and then it's come back down. And, that thing there over my left shoulder, right shoulder is, Spotify's stock price over the past year. And, they were complaining particularly about, Apple's 30%, which, okay, stop, stop, Spotify has been a developer long enough that, they're paying 15%, for all the Apple App Store services instead of 30. So right away, let's just cast that aside. And then I figure, okay, well, how is the business doing? What impact does the 15% commission to Apple make? So in December, or maybe even earlier this year, I got emails at they're a foreign company. So when they file their financial results, somehow I got on their email list, and I decided, okay, go out and let's take a look at it. And these results are for their third quarter, and I think they have a new earnings report coming out in 7 or 17 days or something. But if we take a look at it, their total year revenue was over, little over 3 billion euros, and they had an operating loss of 230 million euros. If you look at it, their revenue growth was 21%. Their profit growth was 13%. So this raises the question, what's going on in the business? And as the headline says, is it a bad leadership, bad business, or both? And I think it's a little bit of both. I've heard their founder, Daniel Ek or Ike, several times on different podcasts. I mean, he is, he's motivational. He sounds like a visionary. He really wants to do a lot of good stuff in audio. But I think he fundamentally has a business model problem. as reflected in its financial results. If you look at their revenue, most of the revenue comes from their premium ad users, of which there are very few compared to their the people who are just getting it for the sake of listening to a commercial. From a cost standpoint, a premium user generates about let me check my notes here, about 1360 euros. A free user, $1.4 euros. So right away, they have this huge imbalance that the bulk of their business are, let's call them, quoting the old, Diary of Steve Jobs, for whoever remembered reading his that fake blog back in the early 00s, what he would call the freetard users, are basically paying nothing. They're getting $1.4 euro 0.4 for them. And their business they're just dominated by all of these users that aren't paying them anything. So that's the nature of the business of unlike something like Netflix, where the only way you can get Netflix is you have to pay them for it. Spotify has competition, right? There's Apple iTunes, there's other music services out there. They do not have an exclusive on the audio that they render up. So continuing on, okay, those are the basic business facts that indicates that the way their business is constituted, it's sort of a mediocre business. It generates lots of top line revenue, but no bottom line profit. So if you go and you look at the year-to-year comparisons, the reason I question their leadership is if you look at how much their profit increased year to year, it increased 13%. And in this table below you, they had almost a 50% increase in R&D, 40% in sales and marketing, 43% increase in general administrative. So they're way spending way more than the underlying growth in their business. So if you go and you look at that, their excess spend, basically sucked up, and more any of their increase in their revenues. So assuming, on their premium users, for 15%, how much are they paying to Apple? Well, my back of the envelope calculation is 398 million euros. Compared to all the other line items that they way overspended because they got, I don't know, dumb, fat, stupid, lazy, maybe they had high expectations and no bad management systems, so they couldn't rack in their spending early enough. It just looks like they just way overspent. So yes, they are paying, a fair amount in absolute dollars, to Apple, but for 15%, to get promotion and distribution and credit cards and collections and some amount of marketing worldwide, that doesn't sound like that's such a bad thing. So, I just pass it back to everybody else. Spotify is a bad business, bad leadership, or both.
Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by Zocdoc. Find local doctors who take your insurance at Zocdoc.com/MacVoices. When someone is just exceptionally good at what they do, it could be a waiter, a chef, or a doctor, you're in good hands. It's like seeing a waiter balance 5 trays of sizzling fajitas on one arm. You're confident in them. When you find the right doctor, you can feel it. You feel heard and you feel at ease. On Zocdoc, finding the doctor that's right for you is seamless. The quality care you need is just a few taps away in the Zocdoc app. Zocdoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. Surprise twists might work for podcasts, but maybe not for medical care. With Zocdoc, there are no alarms and no surprises. Choose from thousands of patient-reviewed doctors and specialists, browse doctor profiles, upload and verify your insurance information, and get the care you need. Go to Zocdoc.com/MacVoices and download the Zocdoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's Zocdoc, ZocDoc.com/MacVoices. Zocdoc.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Zocdoc for their support of MacVoices. Well, Mark, you missed the part. You missed the one though that to me was just damning. That they announced a 6% layoff.
Oh, right.
Today. But the thing was that Eck said that the changes at the company would let him do his best work and focus on Spotify's future.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So he's.
Yeah. And the point is, that, okay, so a little over almost 600 people lose their jobs so he can do his best work is the other reading of that.
Yeah, that, and actually, if you go to their website and if you look at their slides for their financial results, they identify explicitly that the key reason costs went up in these different areas is for headcount. So sadly, I mean, the cost went up because they overhired, and he now has sort of a cavalier, well, we can do better work without you, for all the almost 600. I think I saw a number 588. I think is the number I saw in one news article of people that he was terminating.
Yeah, those are the kind of things. We're talking about what Elon has done. I mean, who let him publish that website or that post? I mean, he hasn't fired his communication team. So, Brittany, to your point, people can do dumb things and they don't understand what they're saying between the lines.
Emotional intelligence lacking.
Well, it does make you wonder.
Brittany's muted. I don't know if she was trying to speak.
No.
Okay.
I can just let him say I'm right and just stick with that. I'm good.
Okay.
See, proof that Brittany is by far the smartest person on the panel.
We can all be smart at different things, Jeff.
Okay. I like that.
I do too.
Can't wait to find out what I'm smart at.
That's the beauty of neurodiversity, is we all bring strengths and are greater than the sum of the parts.
And
I don't just mean this panel, but also.
I was going to say that pretty much defines this panel, Brittany. Yeah. Yeah. Eric, how's the migration going?
It'll be an after we get done project. There's like, how it gets to and then you have to do this on this machine and this on this machine, and
yeah.
No one wants to see me turning around and bending over to do that part, so I'll just wait.
That's a fair assessment. Thank you for that. We appreciate that.
We don't even want the mental image.
I apologize.
Well, Brittany said we all have our special tools.
Well, we're pretty much out of time. I'm not going to start another topic. We have a number of other things, but we'll just let those carry over because they will still be good. That's the beauty of some of these discussions. Other than just the recent developments, they're pretty much evergreen or go on for weeks or months. Let's go around the room, find out where everybody can be found, so that you understand how diverse we all are, and then we'll get out of here. David has moved up into the slot. Webb abdicated, so he's at the top right of my screen, or top left, excuse me. David, thank you for being here. Where can folks find you?
Thanks for always having me. Appreciate it. You can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. YouTube channels, youtube.com/intouchwithios. I'm here on Tuesday nights. I'm on the Mac Show on Fridays on the British Tech Network. And I'm on Mastodon at mastodon.cloud, DaveG65. I'm on Twitter, DaveG65, and In Touch with iOS and all the other socials. Thanks.
Thank you, David. Jim Ray, thank you for showing up and arguing so vehemently. Where can folks find you?
You can find me at my own website, provue.com, PROVUE, which has not been delisted by Google. Wait, let me check. And you can send me emails there, jim@proview.com. And I'm not anywhere else anymore.
Okay. All right. Jeff Gamet. So I know that you say you're not interacting on Twitter anymore. So where should people interact with you?
The social networks that I'm most active on now are Mastodon and Instagram. So I'd say those are the two best places to find me. And like all social networks, I'm Jay Gamet. Yeah. I hope there aren't any important messages waiting for me on Twitter because I'm not seeing them. Yeah. Let's see. Podcasts. Here on Tuesdays with you, Chuck. And I'm still amazed you let me come back every single week. And then on Thursdays on the big show, then Thursday evenings, In Touch with iOS, because for some reason Dave lets me come back too. And then Fridays on the Mac show, and also the Context Machine with Brian Chaffin.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Eric, we're going to have to wait until next time to find out how the migration went. So we expect a detailed report. In the meantime, where can folks find you?
I can be found on Mastodon at EA Bolden at techhub.social, where I will continue experimenting with at least 2 or 3 different clients until one becomes my clear favorite. Right now, I use one for translation and one for looking at puppy pictures.
That's wonderful.
I'm afraid.
It's not the same client, so.
Okay. Thanks for being here. Guy Searle.
Yes.
I'm trying to bring a disco reference in for your other mic, and I can't find one. So just where can folks find you?
Disco Duck. You can find me over at mymac.com. I've been doing some more reviews for mics over there. And as well as the mymac.com podcast that I still do with Gaz every single week for like the last 12 years or so. We have a Google Voice number, 703-828-4677, as well as our Skype number, 703, I can't even remember it now. It's been so long. You can also occasionally find me recording from my car on my way to work, Guy's Daily Drive. And I will, unless I have a really awful senior moment, I will be on In Touch with iOS on Thursday night with Dave and Jeff.
Oh, that should be interesting.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Unless I like hallucinated the whole thing with Dave inviting me, and that's always a possibility.
70s coming
Show
back
up
to haunt you.
anyhow.
70s, yeah. It was so very good to me, or so I've been told.
Thank you, Guy. Mark Fuccio. Where should folks reach out to you? Because after this Twitter discussion, I'm kind of baffled as to what to tell folks.
DM me on Twitter at Mark Fuccio, MarkFuccio, or just use my name and go to LinkedIn.
Great. Thank you, sir.
And go Niners.
Oh, now see, he's just baiting Webb. Webb, help me out. And feel free to use a football reference back if you wish.
Well, like I said, as I said earlier in the show, I think before we went live, was that we beat San Francisco once, so we can do it again. So, no, you can reach me at you mentioned something. I am on LinkedIn as well. Everything is Web Bixby, WEBBIXBY. Sometimes there's a space between the two words. Sometimes there isn't. So I'm going to continue to stick to Twitter, but I post there maybe once every 3 months. I use it more to follow people, but I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Mastodon, but I've kind of lost my login, so I got to figure out how to get back on that. So, but anyway, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, Webb. Last but absolutely not least, Britt, thank you for so much for hanging in. I'm glad that you're feeling better, and I just hope that continues. In the meantime, I know you have a website because I've been there. I've seen it.
Indeed. It's Conquer.consulting. That is slightly more internet proof than all the other things. But I still have a Twitter. I don't know if people send me things and I miss it. I also don't do that much there. I'm really hoping at some point we'll just have a live intervention here where you force me to sign up for a Mastodon, like one, that like other people are on and is easier to say because people already know it's coming. That's a hope I have. Or you can look at the videos I've been putting out on YouTube, which is ADD Liberator on YouTube, until that shuts down.
Oh, good. Thank you, Britt.
Also, I've been publishing some of them to TikTok, same handle. But I don't think that this audience mostly would go there. And the longer versions are on TikTok or on my Teachable account anyway. So,
Got it. Thank you, Britt.
Mhm.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. We do this Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.